Happy Sunday, everyone. I hope you're having a good weekend because what I'm about to share with you is actually potentially will make this Sunday a little bit brighter, if you see what I mean, when it comes to AMC short squeeze. Well, we already knew, and I shared with you in the last days, what and why such the big investigation from the DOJ is actually meaning, in terms of why AMC could be a way bigger deal when we all expect it to be. What I'm about to share with you, push that limit a little bit further, and by that I mean, well, if you kind of knew, now you have to be certain. And this could mean that, well, when the time comes, it's going to be mind-blowing how people could be insanely rich if they continue to hold AMC and not be stupid with what they're doing in the high or the midst of the short squeeze. What the heck am I talking about? I'm talking about the DOJ that just shared with us this information about potentially exploring whether they can use a federal law originally enacted to take down the mafia in a sprawling probe of hedge funds and research firms that bet against stocks, according to two sources familiar with the situation. Let me pause here for a second. This is not coming from the DOJ directly, all right? These are people that are familiar with the matter, that are kind of, leaking information about what is about to come as this big investigation is going down. It gets very interesting. Please stick with me for a second. The Department of Justice last year issued, we already know, the subpoenas to dozens of firms, including hedge funds, including research companies that are kind of allegedly suspected of working together, of colluding, or making a scheme in order to make a lot of money out of illegal tactics in short selling. Well, while prosecutors haven't made any decisions yet, potential charges under the Racketeer Influence and Corporate Organization Act, the RICO, were an option on the table, the sources said. In the past, prosecutors have built the RICO cases alongside other allegations such as, manipulation. All right. So it's closer to what they're actually doing alongside the SEC and, monitoring how big of a deal hedge funds can be a problem for the stock market. One of the most high-profile cases brought under the RICO Act included that of Michael Lincoln. You don't need to talk about that. But the thing is, spokespeople of the DOJ and the U.S. Attorney's Office in Los Angeles, which are involved in the probe, according to sources, declined to comment. Why? Because nobody wants to give the other side some of the, the next move. Why? Because this is usually how these guys work. Usually they don't disclose the next steps, because by disclosing the next steps, by leaking information to the public and journalism, journalists, actually you can give a little bit of advantage of people who are trying to get caught, you're trying to convict, all right? Citron, of course, declined to comment. And of course, Muddy Waters also didn't respond to a request for comment. So this is such a big of a deal. Maybe it may not mean something to you, but let me, kind of help you understand why this is such an excitement, all right? The potential use of this 1970 law, which has not been previously reported, provides new insights into the scale and the ambition of the investigation. The probe marks a new frontier for the DOJ unit in Washington tasked with rooting out corporate crime. A racketeering case could allow prosecutors to unearth a broad swathe of investors involved in alleged criminal enterprise, even if they participated indirectly. We're talking about either brokerage firms here. We're talking about either banks providing liquidity to short sellers. We're talking about research firm, that may be working with a media outlet in order to push those short selling reports to put why it makes sense for them to go against and bet against the stock. And by doing so, ultimately, you are scaring investors down, and with draw pools and block trade and spoofing and scalping, it makes things easier for them, and they're making a lot of money out of that illegal scheme. So this is such a big deal but such a case will also face more challenges than a narrower one aimed at a smaller group of people. This is in part because prosecutors have to establish a pattern of activity, and this is why, things are, I wouldn't say complex, but it may take another batch of evidence, but the fact that they are considering this, all right, the fact that they are considering this is huge. Among activities that the Justice Department is investigating is whether the hedge funds conspire to perpetrate a so-called short and discord scheme that we already, that's where we are here in AMC. So when you look at what the US prosecutors also discover in the past is that, they discovered that racketeering fees in short-sighted probe. What is racketeering to begin with? Well, racketeering is a term broadly refers to criminal acts, typically those involving extortion. It is usually used in reference to patterns of illegal activity specified in the Racketeer Influence on Corporation, the RICO. This is a U.S. federal law that makes it illegal to acquire or control a business through certain crimes or income from those crimes. It's also illegal to participate, even indirectly, in certain crimes committed by a business or to conspire to do any of the above under the act. So pretty much it's another way for pretty much doing something illegal, all right? Whether you're specifically, directly or indirectly involved into that scheme, which will help you take a huge advantage financially and monetarily by either acquiring a business through stocks, or whatever else. But the point is, this is something that were not used in the past. But to even think or explore this, it's such a big deal because this was something that was used to bring down the mafia. Can you imagine how hard it was to actually tackle down and bring down the mafia? It was a hell of a business because these guys were smart covering the tracks. But it's kind of the same thing here because you are going against a system. You're not specifically targeting specific companies, but you're targeting the ones that or suspect to be at the top. Citron, all of these guys. Because when you actually look at the data, you actually look at the facts, you look at the patterns. Just look at how AMC and GameStop have been trading for the last 6 months. All right. You will see that it seems as if a group of companies on the other side makes it very easy for the share price not to go past a certain level. Why? Because it will not work for them. And because they kind of work together, and it's entirely a business. It's a business plan. It's a scheme. It's close to what racketeering is. And that's why the Department of Justice is actually taking it seriously, considering exploring that. Because by using that federal law, it gives them more tools. It gives them more power, more authority in order to bring down whoever is involved into this. For now, we know that it's subpoenaed only dozens of companies, all right? But we all know the guys that needs to go down in AMC stock for it to go to the moon. All right. So this is a big deal, folks. Again, it may not sound like it is, but when you look at the facts and you read in between the lines, it is a hell of a deal. So I'm expecting this in the next coming weeks to start having echoes because I said to you earlier, if I'm a client of a hedge fund being subpoenaed by the DOJ, investigated by the SEC, seize assets, seize trading records, the first thing I want to ask myself is, well, do I need to worry? Do I need to continue, even for my own reputation, to have my money managed by these guys? Because maybe, as we say, if you see smoke somewhere, maybe the fire is coming or the fire already started somewhere. So just to say that this is another clear example that the AMC short squeeze could be a very life-changing event if you hold AMC stock in the next coming whatever.